All right, Gundam fans, welcome to another episode of Gundam Explained. And today I'm actually going to be looking at a Gunpla, which I haven't done too often, but this is going to be the Origin high grade RX-78-02. Let's see if I can get that without some glare going on. And yeah, this thing is really cool. You know, I built the high grade, the real grade, and I have the Origin master grade. And when they released this high grade of the RX-78-02, I bought it and just didn't build it. I got burnt out at the time, but I've kind of got back into it, especially because on the Discord, one of our members talking about Gundam Breaker 3 on PlayStation, so I've been playing that, and it kind of got me back into it. So, yeah, let's jump in and take a look at this. And right before I get started, if you haven't yet subscribed, currently doing a giveaway, 2 things to give away, and that's about to conclude, but then there'll be another giveaway starting up. So, hey, there's always a reason to subscribe. Like, comment something that you would want to get, even if it's a Gunpla. That'd be really cool. Yeah, just taking a quick look at this guy, just looks great. I love how it almost looks like it's a real grade, even though it is a high grade. It just has so many little details that is part of the design of the Origin style of the RX-78-02, which the Origin's kind of like a retelling of the original story. There's some differences. You know, when it comes to the look, it has more of the real marking as part of the detail of the unit. I love the shoulder cannon. That's kind of a thing I like. While I'm not into Marvel, War Machines has been awesome. I have this like 2006 or whenever Iron Man 2 came out, I forget which one it was, where they had this Marvel Legends War Machine, and I've always held on to that guy. I really like it. And yeah, just all the detail here is really cool. So, you know, also, even with all the detail, in order to really spice things up, you got to do panel lining. So I used the Tamiya panel line accent color using like gray and black. I would put black on the colored areas and use the gray on the white areas. This way it's not too dark. I don't like to go for that totally dark look, but really I just apply the panel lining kind of liberally across the areas that I want the detail, and really it kind of looks messy. After I let it dry, sometimes I wait a day, I then go back with lighter fluid, and then I start touching up the areas that I use the panel lining on to kind of get the look I want. You know, sometimes if I use too much lighter fluid, it takes away some of where the panel lining is, so I'll kind of go back and touch up. But yeah, panel lining correctly to me really adds a look to it to make it look more like a statue or action figure. But this is the way I like to have it set up with all the accessories, and let me take them off. We'll go through articulation. All right, so here we go. This is the Origin high grade with most of the decals on. And you know, one thing to note is I didn't finish the decals that I'd put on the legs or the skirt armor. I didn't want to rush it. It really takes a long time with these smaller decals. In fact, I hate it, but I like it at the same time. So as we go, you can kind of, and yeah, as we go and look at the articulation, kind of take note of the decals, the panel lining, and I'll talk about it as we go down. But, you know, if we look at the head here, this has a lot of the standard articulation you'd expect out of a Gunpla head, which is very interesting. You know, interesting note, when I first got into this, my older brother had visited me and did not even realize that these Gunpla model kits were articulated. He just assumed that they were just statues I was building. But no, they were articulated. It could be because he's my half-brother, so not all there. But no, I'm just joking. Yeah, looking at this, we've got the articulation here. Yeah, a whole lot of it, too. And you can kind of see where I put the detailing, where I would put the panel lining. Again, not too much. You know, I really think, though, these vents on the side, I could be doing a little more to that, I will say. I did have to glue this red part onto the V-fin because it was just coming apart. Anytime I was doing something with it, the red would just pop off. You know, and also there's variations with this, and I'll get into that into a second, where you can change like early type, middle type, I think that's what they call it, where how he looks, like different looks, especially with the shoulders. With the shoulder guns. So I love that, how it looks. And it just gives you the option where I can put them on both sides, or you can have it where it's closed. You just take this off, take off the gun, and then slide the blue part back on. I like that. It also has another little thing we'll look at here in a second that you can use instead. And then, yeah, of course, I put the decals here. Decals around this area were kind of a pain. I had to use some tweezers, and I had to really get it just right. You know, I'd almost go for water slides, and I did buy water slides for this, and I ended up using it on the Robot Spirits version of the RX-78-02. But I gotta say, there is something about applying these types of decals to a high grade where it's different than if I get a master grade or even, you know, the real grade usually comes with better decals. It really depends, but I do like kind of the the included materials used to kind of build and make this look as cool as possible. With the shoulders, you know, a lot of articulation there. Again, it's what you would expect even from the real grade or the standard high grade. So really, you know, I'm probably not going to go into detail like a Robot Spirits just because this isn't made for articulation, even though you can probably, depending on what you're doing, you could probably modify it to get whatever articulation you want. I mean, look at that. You know, one thing I like is that it already has a hole in there for a stand. Even some of the modern stands used for Robot Spirits instead of kind of their stand adapters that you then put a Gunpla stand on it. So it's really cool how this origin is almost like a figure in itself. And again, I think there's a big, and tell me if I'm wrong, there's like a big difference between fans of Gunpla and fans of action figures. And even though I like Gundam, so I like the Gunpla, but I also like action figures in general. So this is it's just really cool that this, you know, overall has really good articulation like you would want from an action figure. I'd also add that it's really sturdy. And high grades are sturdy in general, but really I don't have to worry about this falling apart except for maybe the shoulder gun, and I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, you know, just taking some of the looks at where I've put decals, where I've done the panel lining, you can kind of see in here I haven't really, you know, went too much into it. There's some areas that I could, you know, improve on, but I kind of like to give it like a basic wash that you might see in a high-end action figure, like a McFarlane action figure, or, you know, there's a lot of even action figures from Japan that they're high-end, and they don't do the wash in the way that you see most Western figures, but they have a lot of detailing in them without it giving that full-on panel-lined anime look, which I think we see a lot. And then even, yeah, with the backpack, it's got its own adapter plug there. We see that. Now, as you go, you may see, like right here, where I didn't really get the nubs off entirely. And, you know, it really depends. After I build it, put it together, get it the way I look, I'll go back maybe and finish off some nubs that are just kind of in the way. So yeah, let's look at the stuff that this thing came with. So we've got the shield here, and I did some panel lining there. There's probably more areas I could do. And you know what? I would even love to touch this up with some of that silver paint, where you get it really dry on the brush, where there's not too much on it, and you just kind of lightly hit the edges. I've done that with a few figures, and it looks really good, in fact. And, you know, this has an adapter that's very similar to what we see with the Master Grade. In fact, this is really just a mini Master Grade, which is pretty interesting. And then, yeah, we see the handle there for the shield. And then the bazooka, again, just some minor panel lining just to give it a little bit of detail, not too much. I'm not too crazy about that kind of sticker that was in there. I would like that to be a separate piece, but I mean, it's not too noticeable anyway. And then, yeah, an included adapter to go on the back, and I really love that. All right, and here's the gun, and I just keep the trigger finger hand on it. But, yeah, I actually did some detailing on this, just a little bit of, you know, panel lining, just enough to just give it that much more detail. And then the same with the shoulder gun. Again, I did some, you know, panel lining, a little darker in some areas, but, you know, just enough, again, to give it that detail and make it look cool. In fact, I even think I did, in my opinion, did too much in that area. And again, very easy to clean with lighter fluid and a Q-tip. And then, you know, also came with this different type of chest piece. And really the difference is how we see the horizontal lines here are similar on both sides, whereas on this one, there's like two lines. It's like broken up there. I kind of liked that look. You know what? It would change from time to time. I really like any look. Yeah, and right here we have the piece that can go on the shoulder, on the upper chest on that one if you chose to do so. I also opted for this cool little, you know, wrist gun with the magazine here, or whatever they're intending for that. I love that look. And I did it on both sides, and it comes with just a standard piece if you didn't want to have that look on there, but, you know, really, I like it. Came with the old school looking beam rifle, and I didn't really bother panel lining that because I don't intend to use it. I did accidentally, not too much, but actually, no, that one's okay. I guess I would clean that up, but the purpose is to have this plug, which I really like when they do that. My Master Grade version, though, broke very easily. And then obviously two beam saber parts for the beam sabers. You can see here that I really only have one plugged in. I could plug in the other, but that is where the shoulder gun goes. And unless I'm doing something wrong, my only complaint with this is the shoulder gun. Just the way it attaches here, it just comes off very easily. See, it kind of just came off there. You know, it's got these two ridges on there that seem to stop it from going in all the way. I don't know if, again, I could be doing something wrong, but it's fine. It doesn't really fall off that often. I mean, this just looks great. It just fell off. But really, I just love the way this RX-78-02 is designed. It's very modern. I guess the concept art doesn't say much, but I would assume in a way that the Gundam Netflix movie would show off an RX-72 more in this fashion, where there's some of that functional design going on, along with the detail, the real marking, etc. Other than the hand to hold a beam saber or this kind of open, relaxed hand, it also came with the trigger finger hand, so not too much, but enough for what you need here. All right, and here is the sticker sheet. Again, these things are tiny. I even lost some. On number 2, I accidentally combined 2 of them when I was picking one up. Another one came with it, and then they closed on themselves, and so that's like gone forever. But they do have a lot of extras here just in case, and I will probably finish up the rest of the lower body. Again, I like to take my time because it does take a long time to get the sticker, get it on right. I like to press it and keep it there. Sometimes, and I don't really do this with decals as much as I do it with water slides, but I have this other type of liquid I use that helps form it onto the body correctly. You know, and it really depends. Now, to take a look at the manual, I really love the artwork on here. It's very similar to what's on the box. It even kind of shows it standing here. And I got to say, like, in general, it does look different. It's like a, you know, kind of like a CGI rendition of it. And then even here, it's kind of showing like the early type and middle type, where, you know, there's differences with the shoulder, with the arms, and the upper chest. So yeah, a lot of options there. And, you know, I'm not really going to go through the whole manual, but you can kind of see. I would say this build was pretty simple. I don't know. I'm trying to think if anything really gave me a hard time. No, yeah, I'd say nothing really gave me a hard time with how much detail and accessories this has. This was a easier build than the Beyond Global, and that was pretty easy too. Also, one thing I wanted to mention too, compared to the Beyond Global, is I had to use a yellow decal. Not that I had to, but I used the yellow decal it came with instead of having like a separate piece for that, the color separation, and that's fine. I don't want to complain too much. It went on pretty good, so not a big deal. But yeah, let's get into some comparisons. Here is the high grade, the standard high grade, not even the entry grade. And I actually have the entry grade, but I think my son has that. But here's the high grade with the panel lining. So you can kind of see how that looks. Here is the recent new G40. So you can see how it has kind of a very unique and different look to it. I don't even think I bothered panel lining that, so I might keep that out and get that done. All right, this one's a little dusty, but here we go with the real grade. You know, some of it's kind of coming apart, especially the gold stickers that I had put in the arm. That would probably be better with a gold marker to kind of go in there and kind of detail that. But I like how it's similar to the Origin. And actually, let me get these two kind of close to each other. And I say similar in terms of like the detailed design to them. You know, this is like the third, I guess, design of the, and then we got the Origin right here, where the idea is to kind of modernize it and update it, and there's a lot of similarities there. You know, there's a lot of things that make this cool, and there's a lot of things that make this cool that'd be cool to combine. That's a good idea. Getting the real grade, getting the Origin, and combine the things I like the shoulder or the side chest, upper chest guns there. Maybe even putting the gun there, but I love the color separation for the legs, how there's some of that gray in there. Yeah, even on the side skirts. Yeah, so there's a lot to like between both of them. All right, and here is the Beyond Global, which that review is a separate video. You know, really the difference is it has muted colors to it, and I think, you know, there's some slight design changes to it in general, but I think it's really just an updated Gunpla in general. It's not trying to be like the G40 where it's like a celebration of 40 years and they design it all up. The Beyond Global really is just taking the standard kind of high grade RX-78-02 and kind of beefing it up. And then here is the Robot Spirits. Now, this Robot Spirits is specifically the super animated version. And why I mean that is because it kind of has more of the olive or the green in the arms and the white in the joints, which is different than the standard anime, which I also have as well, where it has the gray in the joints. So you can kind of see where, they're all very similar. It would be hard in a lineup to really guess what they are unless you were like a hardcore fan. And then lastly, it is not in the best shape. And let's see if I can actually get a better... The Origin Master Grade. And, I don't remember if the pieces it came with had like the different shoulder armor that this one has. This also... Let's see. The blues are a little different on here. It looks like it has a lot of the same decals, although they're set up a little differently between these two. Like on this one, there's two separate pieces, and that was just one. Everything else looks the same. The hands are pretty messed up. I even think these are different hands, if I'm not mistaken, where the hands that it came with, they were jointed, but they just kept falling apart. I had to order some separate hands to stick in there. And kind of missing some pieces. So, this Master Grade's really cool, but it was falling apart a lot. And that could be because I think this was either the second or third Gunpla I had ever built. As soon as I got that unicorn built, that real grade, I was in awe of the series. And then I went and bought the narrative just because that was one that was around. I think it was the Apex. Because of the V-fin, I was like, oh, that looks like what Gundam is. And then so... I think I went to the local hobby shop, and then I saw that they had this one, and then I just had to get it, and I love it. But again, it seems to kind of fall apart, but still very cool. Well, anyway, that was like kind of a quick overview of the high grade Origin RX-78-02. Please let me know in the comments if you have any questions, anything I didn't cover, anything that maybe you're interested in this and want to get to know a little more about it. If you like the video, please like and subscribe, and let me know what's your favorite RX-78-02. It could be high grade, real grade, even Robot Spirits. What is your favorite RX-78-02? Because there's so many different kinds you can get, and there's even stuff like the G40, which almost looks a little different. And then there's kind of the vanilla look without decals, and then look with decals. And do you panel line? I'm really curious what everyone does, and curious what you think of my panel lining, and if you have any critiques. That would be cool to know. So anyway, thanks for watching. We'll talk later.